to be very quick through them. But this is just like an overview of everything we did this year, everything we went through, just to maybe reflect back on what we actually worked with. So it all started the 8th of February. I started my company 1st of February, so this was very exciting for me after only a week, to get here. But everything started on this BIM and AI day. I hope you remember. Magnus was also there with the demo. Yeah, then we just started with an idea. Okay, we need 10 companies to help us. We got some surveys that were telling us, okay, we need this. This is what we could work on. Let me just move this so board sees it as well. Yes, and then on the first meeting in February, where we just basically pitching the idea of BIMtech, we also got, sorry, let me get here. We also got a first demo, and that was layout. So what the guys at Layout do, they are generating 2D layouts for office spaces. So when you're, let's say, a real estate, or you're in prop tech and you just want to renovate a building, you would need quick spaces, or with zoning and so on of offices. That's what Layout does. Yeah. So this is what we had a demo of. And then Board introduced this topic board. That was very cool, and we also communicated over there. But the main point was that we also talked with everybody, like, about AI and BIM efforts, what was going on then. It's probably different right now if we had the same discussion. But this was very interesting to see, what everybody was working on. Then also in March, this was already March, I presented some like ChatGPT and Excel stuff, how you can use it easily. I hope that by now everybody kind of gets it, and uses it here and there. And one of the best sources I also presented in March was this 100 Days of AI. Since then, they stopped doing this because it's very valuable and they start being free. But they have something new, which I would really recommend. So instead of 100 Days of AI, if you Google 100 School, or I think it's 100school.com, I think it's called. What they do is 7-day challenges. So if you want to learn how to, let's say, implement a chatbot on your website or something, you go there and you get a 7-day email for free where they teach you how to do it. It's really cool. It's one of the best sources I've found out there for free. So I really recommend checking that out. And then in March, we also had a demo from BIMify. And if you guys remember, what they do is they take your images, your PDFs, your DWGs, and your point clouds, anything of that sort, and they turn it into a BIM model. We also had some tests after, so maybe we can reflect that on some point, because we had some people in the group testing it out with them and how does it work and so on. And also since then, I had a demo specifically for the course, because I do courses, right? You know this. So I had a specific for the course in depth with BIMify. I think we filmed for 40 minutes or 45. Then we had another example from like what DTO Design Together can do for companies working in Revit. So what they do is they take your details and they have a database of details, and they can basically create parametric families directly straight into Revit. And this was a kind of comparison of map architects actually comparing the DTO solution. You can see it's 3 minutes here. Sorry, you don't see. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But it's 3 minutes with DTO. It's 20 minutes conventional way in time to search for design reference, time to document, and so on. Again, I'm not going to get lost into that now. But then I think I also was it March. No, this was all the April. I started presenting all of these personal AI tools, just like about them, but I didn't present them yet at that point. But just like personal AI tools I use. And I also shared some experiences of having my first workshop in Vienna with a bunch of students, and how you actually create GPTs. Then we talked about GPT limitations. And I'm so sorry, this is all over the place, but this is everything we went through. So yes, then the story of Siri, that GPTs also have some limitations. Then something, Philip, that might interest you is this one, Luma. Scan this one. It's going to be cool. Scan this one and check it out. Because what Luma does is they basically make photogrammetry models. So yeah, scan it out. It's pretty fun. Yeah, also you guys online, you can scan it and see, because what's going to open is a scanned model. They basically took a drone around this castle. And what's happening after that is that you have a bunch of points that created this 3D model. I don't think it's precise. It's not definitely precise to be parametric, what you need for Revit, but as a 3D basic model of just how does it look, it's definitely awesome. It can help with a bunch of stuff. And it's so cheap. You can basically do it with an iPhone or with a drone with a camera. So as long as it has LiDAR on it. So yeah, this is what we learned. And then we also learned about Victor. I don't know if you remember this. Victor is a platform. It's not an application. It's a platform on top of which you build applications for engineering. I think that one of their success stories was they're the platform provider for, they're based in the Netherlands, but they're the platform provider for the longest underwater tunnel in Europe. Femmern. It's just being built between Denmark and Germany. And they're the app provider. So meaning that in structural engineering, workflows that they have there, they have a bunch of workflows that they wanted to automate or have an app for, and they're building on top of Victor. So we had those guys help us with the demo. And then this was all in May when we met in person again. We didn't go on the camp. That was unfortunate. But we met in person. And that's why I went again, maybe a bit more into what AI actually is. This is something I also teach in my courses. I'm not going to go through it now, but like how is AI defined and what does it mean and so on. So we went through a bit of this, basically an umbrella term, a bit about prompting on how do you actually prompt and so on. Again, creating custom GPTs. I talked about my GPT, which took my database of AI tools and provides advice on which AI to use. Then we talked about EU AI Act. I'm going to maybe repeat it now because it's very interesting. The reason it's interesting is because it's already in power now. I know Norway is not in EU, but any company that does work with EU companies needs to respect it. That's what the EU AI Act says. They have the risk-based framework, meaning that they have 4 levels of risk, and every AI app needs to be defined. So maybe Marco and Magnus, I don't know if you guys have heard anything of this, or you need a lawyer to look at it, or I think they're mainly aiming for big tech. I'm not going to lie, in the first year or two, but at some point it's going to trickle down. Yeah, and basically, like, you need to be transparent when you're using AI. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in there, but I'm not going to get too much into detail. Yes. Then we had yes, this was in May. We had a demo of Howie. Since then, Howie got VC investors just the other day. I'm actually not sure if I should say it because they told me to be quiet about it. Okay, don't say it to anybody. They got VC investors. What they do is they're a co-pilot for architects, meaning that they connect with your SharePoint, they connect with your drives, with your servers, with your projects, and you can basically search across all of your data, both in text and visuals. So Eva, the founder, typically gives an example. Have we ever done an Alpine project? And it looks for not only for like Alpine as the word, it looks for any ice, any mountains, any snow that it sees across languages, across visuals, so you can find because the problem they're solving is the time spent on looking for stuff. Okay, that was Howie, sorry. Then we also had an example of Aaron, where they do bridge inspections. And I met the founder in Atlanta when I was there in May, and that was so fun because he said that basically he's going to scan all the bridges, because they're public, they're open. He's going to scan everything, and then he's going to be selling that, what needs to be inspected. So that was very fun, He's like, yeah. But yeah, that was Atlanta. I'm not going to get into it now. But then in May, we had a demo from, Howie we had, sorry, later on. But in May, we had Schema. I don't know if you remember Schema. Yes, you do. So what Schema does, do you know about them? Yeah. So what they do is that they take your existing Revit models from your past projects. They make a catalog of sorts. So they take your typical bedroom, typical bathroom, kitchen, whatever it might be. They make a catalog, like like it basically looks like these, windows on the side. So when you make a new project, you just pick and choose your typical stuff. Yes, exactly. Yeah. But it's a 3D model library, or yeah, it's in 3D because you get LOD 350 models out of it. So yeah. So we had their demo that was very fun. Then we talked about prediction, how LLMs work on prediction. I gave this example of like, name the actress that played Rose. Okay, I'm going to speed up a bit. Then these funny examples, what do I have to do to be a saint? You need to die, and then you need to wait at least 5 years. Yeah, I remember that. Then ChatGPT got released as a Mac OS. Then we got a Windows add-in as well on PowerPoint, but it kind of sucks, I'll be honest. Then we heard about Wolf. They're also, they're a Norwegian-based company. What's happening here? Sorry, guys. Let me go back. I need to present again, I think. How did this happen? Window and yes, here. And then I go there and then I present it again. Yeah, so I'm sorry. Yes, then we talked about Struck. Marco had a meeting with them this morning, was impressed by their ability, because what Struck does is that Struck basically takes any building regulation out there, because that's hard to navigate. It has thousands of pages, thousands of standards. And you can ask across languages anything for that building regulations. They're based in the Netherlands, but they're expanding quickly. And they are now in Spain and UK and I don't know, Germany and Denmark. And yeah, they're expanding quickly because it takes them 2 minutes to consume a document, which is basically like a custom GPT for building regulations. But on top of that, they can also offer zoning plans for the Netherlands currently, where you get like you get your plot. If you want a new building or an office, you can just ask, can I build an office here? What do I need to respect? How far away from the border? Like this early, it's very, very cool how helpful it is. So this is what Struck does. Yes, and then we talked a little bit about Speckle. I'm not going to talk about them now because we had a demo later. Yes, I have C Model Checker. It was mentioned. The Miro board was getting filled up. What was this? This was Gantt AI, yes. Gantt AI, they do construction schedules. We had a demo from them in June, I believe it was, June. So what they do is that take your previous construction schedules, they see how many days what took, where things can be sped up, what is on the critical path, and they help you create new schedules. So even though this, in theory, it sounds simple, when you have thousands of schedules and thousands of, building sites and nothing is optimal, they can really help you optimize things. And then I think it was around July or August that Flux was released, where in 3 years we went from basically being hard to create, what is this, some avocado thing, to creating some really realistic images. And these are all AI created, which is pretty amazing. And then also for architecture, where I was, human-made prompts, AI-made prompts, and then I had a bit of fun with recreating board as an AI. Yeah, here. It's pretty good.
My brother.
Your brother, yes. Pretty good, not there yet, so yeah. Yes, double hands. That was pretty fun. Yes. Yeah, then we just had presented some tools. We haven't had demos of them yet. Probably at some point will. I'm not going to go through it now. Let me see how many slides I have. Oh, okay. Slide 60 out of 110. Let me speed up. Evolve Lab for Revit productivity of automating stuff. BIM Logic doing the same thing. They also have a BIM Copilot for Revit where you can tell it you want these many sheets and so on. But then we talked a little bit more about BIM, and this was already in September, where we mentioned some really cool tools. Again, I'm not going to go through them now, but here they are, what each of them does. Many similar things, but some different ones. Then about clash detection, that it's not AI-driven yet, but there are some early things happening, especially on the Speckle part, I would say. Then about the transition from BIM to data, more like BIM modelers to data modelers. This is at least my prediction. Yeah, then we had a Speckle, and then, okay, this is a whole thing, sorry. I'm not going to go into this rant now because it's going to take a lot of energy from me. Yes, then we talked about the tech stack analysis. This is something I do with companies, help them analyze their tech stack. What is AI-driven, what is not? How can they, make a strategy based on this? How can they automate a bunch of stuff? Then we had a presentation of Howie. Then I talked a bit about where I was and about these AI classes. you have 4 classes of people: AI class, AI experimenters, AI newcomers, and AI skeptics. And what the biggest difference between those two are, how you can save up to 30% or more than 30% of your time each week if you're the part of the AI class, meaning that you know how to use AI and you know what to use it for, not only, you know, translate a few words. But yeah, we talked about that. Discovering AEC, that's when I launched it in October. Let me see here. Yeah, then we started doing more demos. Gemini, if you remember, gems, artifacts, I presented some stuff. We also had a presentation. This was pretty cool to have from that open company, if you know about them. So Antonio joined us. They're basically building a platform on how to create a new Revit or a new ArchiCAD or a new whatever, you know, they're basically building that. So whatever app you have in your mind, you want to build for the AEC, it's a safe bet to go with them, to work with them on their platform. So it's kind of similar to Victor, but a bit different. Yes, then Marco, you remember these photos, of course, from Riyadh. Yes, about workshops. And then, of course, I think this was all the last month when I presented a bit more personal stuff, personal productivity apps, sorry. You know, how to create presentations, how to, from meeting note-taking, creating guides. And then we're coming to Lucid. And I think this is a good point, Marco, to give microphone over to you and for me to shut up a bit. What is it that you guys do? What problem do you solve and for who?
Okay,